Hi everyone. So today is my day 3 of my vulnerability video diary, and today I wanted to talk about the mental abuse because it is taking the longest to come out of, because it turns into a trick from the devil. So because it's all up in our heads from childhood, it's burnt into our minds, and then it continues throughout our whole life, and it's just something that's really hard to overcome. So I wanted to talk about that today. So I wanted to express what type 1 personality disorder is. That's what I grew up around as my father figure. And type 1 is a temperament characterized by excessive ambition, aggression, competitiveness, drive, impatient, need for control, focus on quantity over quality, an unrealistic sense of urgency. And then to continue on with this, it's also considered to be type A personality trait. And this is rigidly organized, highly status conscious, sensitive, impatient, anxious, proactive, and concerned with time management. Their personalities are often high achieving workaholics, and they hate both delays and ambivalence. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. And let's see. Okay, yeah, the rest doesn't really concern this video, but that's kind of what I had to live with, my brothers and I. But yeah, it was quite difficult. So what he created was a constant sense of urgency in every situation. And one of the funnier things is that what we had talked about, my family, whoever we were talking about, my dad was often seen jogging from place to place when it was unnecessary. And like if he's leaving someone's house, he felt like he needed to run from the house to get to his car to go home. There was always this sense of urgency from A to B, from B to C, and so on. He was always moving, he was always going, and he always needed to get there fast and get it done. And whether it was to get home or to go and get something done, he was always seen jogging, running to the car, or running somewhere rather than walking like other people would be. And he would always rush us to follow along as well. So we would jog alongside him or behind him and get there faster. So there was always this sense of urgency for him. So this is so true about my father. And anyone that knows my father will laugh and say that that's true. He was always seen jogging when it was totally unnecessary. And his sense of urgency was also when he spoke. He was always go, 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 and he was a quick thinker and a quick talker. And he was very precise when he was speaking, and he also demanded this sort of response in return. So that was a really high expectation to live up to. And one of the other things is, from reading the definition of type 1 and type B, he oftentimes questions the intentions and motives of others. And he was a 110% believer in conspiracy theories. So he was an overthinker and a researcher. And I know there are a lot of people out there, and I have my own conspiracy, so there's a level, but he was overboard. He, for instance, he volunteered his children to help him to dig up a bunker, an underground bunker, and then stock up for years worth of supplies to help his family. And he thought of every product, everything that you would need to survive, from an atomic bomb or anything like that. Just, he thought of everything, like masks and I can't even think of it. The readers, the chemical readers to tell you how much is in the air, and what else? Just anything. He thought of everything. And let's see. He was very, very, very organized in everything that he did, and he expected organization. It was enforced harshly to always be organized, always to have everything in its place where everyone could be productive. It could help to be more productive or effective for everyone to, I don't know, to get it done quicker, whatever it was. Let's see. He was a sensitive man. He is a sensitive man, very sensitive. He oftentimes got his feelings hurt and he would lash out. Very impatient as well. He's always very anxious. When I had seriously known him, he's since then he's moved to China and he's living there with his family. So I don't know him anymore. He has actually pushed me out of his life because I am a strong woman of faith. So yeah. He was always productive in everything that he did, and he was always assertive, and he also enforced this in his children. And this is, anyone that kind of knows me knows that I'm assertive, I'm productive in the way that I do things. And it's different for different. If you were to line me up and with other people, I would be very much different in this way. That's what sets me apart from everyone, is because I have that assertiveness, that I always need to be productive. I always need to help out. I need to do something. And on this definition, he's a workaholic. That's very true. He was a workaholic. He is a workaholic. His walls were lined up with framed degrees to get further ahead of the game. He demanded to be on top of the food chain because he thought he was God. He thinks he is God. So he needed to have a degree in everything. So I think he has a PhD, he has several masters, bachelors, associates. He's got degrees in a lot of things. But he also used this against everyone. He often pointed out to others that they were stupid and uneducated. Everyone was below him, and he always pointed out that they were below him. So he always compared himself to others, and he always put people down because of his higher education. He excelled in this sort of area, and he expected others to sort of live up to this. So common sense was one of the bigger issues with him. He embedded this into us, that common sense was very important to have in this world. And if you didn't have a lick of common sense, and this is quoted because he had often told us children very young, maybe not very young, I guess as preteens and teenagers, but he had often told us that if you don't have common sense, in whatever situation he was referring to, just kill yourself. That's what he said. Get it over now, get a gun, and blow your brains out. And he would motion towards his gun cabinet. But this is what he said. He was very open about this this line that he used about committing suicide to save the world of your stupidity. That's what he thought. So this is the sort of mental game that he played. And just a second, guys. All right. So I wanted to move on. So out of everything in my life, the mental abuse was the hardest, because as a female, my confidence in my self-worth, it was never developed. And as a female, when this doesn't happen, then you're inferior to everyone, and it's not good to walk around in the world and not have much confidence, to have not have any self-worth, just to always feel like you're trash because you were told that often. So because it was never developed, it's something that I had to develop later on in life. So I had to develop it from scratch. So and this sort of lack of confidence and no self-worth is often my default now as an adult. Even now, since I'm saved and I'm developing this relationship with Christ, it's still my default because I'm not perfect. I'm still human, and I'm still who I used to be in ways. It's my default. And up until 3 years ago, I had lived it as an adult. So it's still fresh. This new life is still difficult in keeping it separate from my old life. So it still comes in and tries to cripple me. And it doesn't do it like it used to 3 years ago, but it's the enemy playing into my past and my insecurities from my past. So he's still working overtime because he still wants to pull me away, to stop me from developing that spiritual bond with God. So my past is still a part of me, and this is why it happens to be my default, and it happens during times of weakness now. So that's when things happen, when the enemy uses my past, my insecurities, when he uses all this against me. It's when I'm weak, he knows it. Like after I ran 10 miles and I was just utterly exhausted, long day, and that time of the month, and then another, it doesn't matter, but just everything that you obviously, it's really hard to handle as a female, and that's my time of weakness. That's it. That's how he pulls it in. That's how he draws you in and tries to consume you. So you have to be careful. Never fall asleep at the wheel. But I can say that without a doubt, though, there has been much change over the last 3 years, and especially in the last about 6 months. There has been the largest transformation throughout my whole life. This is where most of the work Christ has done in me was in the last 6 months. So, and my insecurities and my fears and my, the low confidence, the no self-worth, this doesn't have a control over me during my daily routines, and it only happens during my weakest hour. So, but it's still a test, and it's still something that I have to draw from Christ. I need to just keep praying, keep at it, because it's still part of me. So it's not an overnight process, guys, and you guys have to get this. It's not an overnight process that these changes come. So don't expect that. What I can say is what my father taught me, my human father, what he taught me, and then what the situations taught me was that education was very, very important, because knowledge is power. And if you don't have a lot of knowledge, then you're not going to be able to understand. So, although I was already book smart, having straight A's before moving into my dad's, I already had that desire to just work hard in everything that I did when it came to schooling. But when I moved in with him, he made it that much more serious to me to keep learning, to keep educating myself, and to just go to college and strive for something. So he did teach me that. He taught me about the common sense, because that is important in the world. You need to be able to have that good judgment, and without it, it's difficult. So being proactive and assertive taught me that it sets me apart from the lazy people. And I mean, this is true, I have to be honest. It sets you apart, and it gives you a step up. And people like that, especially if you're going into a job. You know, employers, they want someone that is going to be assertive and productive, and not just sit back on the sidelines and just watch other people do their job. So, I mean, it's important to have that sort of characteristic, that drive. Being organized helps you to be more efficient, and to be more productive in your routines. So being organized, is important to have while working, with education in your personal life. And I learned that all of these have created my backbone. One of the other things is that I just realized that when reading the definition, that my dad is very competitive. It's true. I went running with him as a teenager a few times. He's very competitive, and physically. So we did a lot of outdoor stuff where I could see that competitiveness. And then with his personality, just talking with him, he's very competitive and combative, argumentative. And this does help to learn how to debate, and to keep striving, to keep going. So that did teach me something, to never give up. So that human aspect of it did teach me something. And then the drive, he had a drive like no other. He just kept going and going and going. When everyone else had quit a long time ago, he always just kept going. So that taught me a lot too, that it sets you apart too when you just keep working at it, keep working hard on it. So, and when it comes to a lot of different things, I can see that I have this warrior spirit, and I have this drive, and I always want to keep going. I want to always just keep at it and never give up. So, and this kind of just falls into place with a lot of different things. It rolls over to my personal life, my passion with running, and with a lot of different things. So I can see it and how it works and how it happens for me. So let me see. So I have this other area I wanted to talk about. So it started with harm, my mental abuse. It started with harm from another human. And then Satan used this. He disguised himself. And for years, I didn't get the healing that I needed. So for years, he had fooled me. He had tricked me. And I allowed it to happen. I accepted it, and I let it eat me up. And it kind of ruined my first marriage. But a lot of different things did. But I know that sort of mental abuse, that trauma that I had did come into my first marriage, and it has in this marriage, it's come into it a lot too, because I'm always defensive and I'm always fighting for myself. I'm always fighting for something, and so I've learned to kind of let things roll off. I'm not who I used to be, but I still have that defensiveness, so it's still difficult at times. I'm still getting to know people, especially my husband, his playful banter. But yeah, he wants you. So the enemy wants you to hate yourself. He wants you to hate your life. And he wants you to hate whoever hurt you. He wants you to have this sort of hate in your heart towards these people. So these people, these circumstances, these situations, he uses all of this to create this burning hate for other people, for yourself, and for your life. He creates this. So it's all a trick, because if you're still living in this hate, then you can't heal. So that's why it's important to get healing, to get out of it, to get out of this cycle. It's how he keeps a hold of you, and he uses this pain from your past to control you. So, and this is really deep. So, he disguises himself as a voice, and in my situation, he disguised his voice and his demeanor, and it resembled my father. And so he had that much more control over me while I was growing up, when I was away from him, in high school and in my young adult and in my adult life. He had disguised himself perfectly, and I didn't know about it for a long time. So just know that he is sneaky, he is cunning, and this fits him perfectly. And he's still going to try and continue to plague your thoughts. It's a never-ending battle. That's why you can't drop your shield. Excuse me. And he still tries. He's still going to try, and he's going to succeed at times. And but every situation that comes up like this, it's going to happen where you become more aware sooner. It'll be quicker, like a quicker recovery, and his attacks will still be with force, but it'll be easier to deal with. So you'll still fail, but you'll see it sooner rather than later, and then you'll be able to recover faster with Christ's help. So just know that it gets easier. It does. It's going to continue happening. But then in your spiritual journey, there's going to come a point where it doesn't happen. He doesn't break through the defenses. But then in your weakest hours, he'll break through. So it's just this spiritual growth that's happening. So just hang on tight and just keep relying on Christ. He's gonna strengthen you. You're gonna grow. You're gonna see this growth. So no matter what, just have faith and keep communicating with Christ, and never break that line of communication. Just keep at it. That might be it. The thing is to also to glorify him when it does happen sooner, and you recover faster and you're aware of it. And each time it gets sooner and faster, celebrate that, glorify God, glorify that ability that he's given you to to be more aware of it. So glorify that, and just keep praying that he makes it sooner and faster, so that hardship won't be there anymore. And I don't know, let's see. So what I had went through as a child with my human father, it helped to create a daughter of emotional pain, insecurities, no self-worth. I always felt like I was incapable. I had no self-identity and self-image. And through Christ, he gave me all of these and so much more. He had to create almost everything from scratch. And on my end, it's hard because it's new to me, but to him, this is something that he's very knowledgeable about. So it's going to be hard as individuals to deal with this new change, but it's totally possible just keep having faith, and then he'll heal you completely, and he'll help you through it every step of the way. One of the things is I had never had a voice until Christ. I never felt like I was valued, and that's because my father had oftentimes shot me down with anything that I said. Anything that I said, he had a rebuttal for it, and some sort of way he was smarter than me. He was proving it at every moment, every turn, and it was difficult to live up to. So I never had a voice, and he always shot me down. But through Christ, I kind of developed this confidence of having a voice while in my women's Bible study and in the SOM, and being bold with my voice. And that's what I'm most grateful for, is that I'm being bold with my voice. And I think that's about it. Just know that the journey is never over. It's never over. He has so much planned for us, and there's seasons. Do you hear that? There are seasons to our spiritual journey, and what I actually learned today from Mr. Dan Sneed, I actually bought his book, The Power of a New Identity. It says down here, it says, overcoming a broken self-image, something that I needed. So I haven't read it yet, I just got it today. At church, he was the guest speaker, and he was talking about how God prunes us and gets rid of the dead branches, the diseased branches, and even the productive branches, because the next season is going to have more in store for us, and it gets rid of the dead and the disease, so we can prepare for that next season. So he had a lot to say today. I wish I could sit here and explain it to you, but I'll just post it up on my Facebook, the link for today's service if you're interested. But he had a lot of wise words, and I spoke to him afterwards, and he prayed over me, and he was very kind. He spoke, anyways, it's okay. Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed or just got something from this video diary today. I hope I didn't ramble on too much, and that's it. So tomorrow's going to be a tough topic. It's a more sensitive topic than my last topic, but after tomorrow it's going to get a little bit easier for me. But yeah, so stay tuned, and out. Bye.